Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Welcome here. This is your host, Ma'ari Tucker. I'm here. We are beginning on our second hadith from the 40th hadith of Imam Nawawi. And this is hadith narrated by Umar ibn Khattab, the same narrator as the first hadith. So the hadith begins by saying, عن عمر رضي الله عنه. So on the authority of Umar, may Allah be pleased with him. بينما نحن جلوس عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم إذ طلع علينا رجل. So when we were seated with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on a particular day, then a man appeared to us. شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر. His hair or his clothing was exceedingly white, and his hair was exceedingly black, which was unusual, hence why I mentioned it, because obviously they are desert dwellers, and to have your clothes so white and your hair so black, not dusted by the desert, was unusual. How did this foreigner, who we don't know, meaning he doesn't have a residency here, hence why he would clean himself up? He obviously came from afar, but even with that, he managed to come without being dirty. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر. There was no sign of any travel upon him, because it's not unusual to be clean, but it's just unusual to be clean after after coming from a travel. But there's no sign of travel on him. لا عرفه منا أحد. Nobody from us knew him. He wasn't a resident, wasn't a local. حتى جلس إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, until he came and he sat down with the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه. So he connected his knees to his knees. وضع كفيه على فخذيه. And he placed his hands on the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم's thighs, or one could read it that he placed it on his own thighs. Either way, he placed his hand down. وقال, and he said, يا محمد, O Muhammad, أخبرني عن الإسلام. Inform me and tell me about Islam. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, and the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, الإسلام أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله. So Islam means to testify, bear witness, give shahada, give testimony that none is worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah. And this word tashhad, what's unique and interesting or important about understanding the word tashhad is that shahada is a truthful testimony of what's inside one's heart. It's not just to say, he didn't say and taqul, to say it, but he said and to bear witness to that, as in to have that belief in one's heart. And also that Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah. وَتُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةَ, and to establish the salah. وَتُؤْتِيَ الزَّكَاةَ, and to give the zakah. وَتَصُومَ رَمَضَانَ, and to fast the month of Ramadan. وَتُحُجَّ الْبَيْتَ أَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, and to make the hajj to the house, whoever's able to make the journey. So this is what the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed this traveler as to what is al-Islam. قال صدقت. And this person, this stranger who no one knew who he was, said, you have told the truth. فعجبنا له. So we were shocked by that answer. يسأله ويصدقه. He asked him what Islam was, and then he told the truth, as if to say that he is the bearer of truth, and he affirmed that what he said is true. This is ajib. This is not a usual response for someone who asks a question. Normally when someone asks a question, it's because they don't know the answer. But for this person to ask the question, receive the answer, and then say yes, what he said is true, adds to the strangeness. This stranger, none of us know who he is. He's clearly not from local, but he's not dirty to say he's a traveler. So who's this person? This person is strange. قال فأخبرني عن الإيمان. So tell me about Iman. قال أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. It is to believe in Allah and to believe in the angels. As in to believe in Allah and His oneness of Allah and all the names and attributes of Allah, to believe in the angels, that angels exist, that Allah created the angels. وَكُتُبِهِ, that Allah sent down books to the previous prophets. We believe that in general, even if you don't understand or know the details that exist, because maybe some books have been lost. But we know that there are books that Allah sent. وَرُسُلِهِ, and Allah sent before the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam other messengers. وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and to believe in the last day. To believe in the last day. وَتُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ, and to believe in the pre-decree, the good of it and the bad of it. And all of these things here that we have been ordered to believe in Islam, which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told this individual that this is what Iman is, all of these things are the unseen. We haven't seen Allah. As for the books, we weren't there when they've been revealed. We haven't seen the actual evidence of everything. There are many things about it we don't understand, we don't know. Same thing with the angels. We haven't seen the angels. The messengers, we haven't seen the messengers. We've been told about the messengers. We haven't seen the messengers. وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, again, this is a future event. We have no idea about this thing other than what we've been told. And also about the pre-decree. All of these things are belief in the unseen. And this is what Allah mentioned about in the Quran about the believers. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. This is a very important part of Islam. And it's not the case that we just believe only in that which is visible. That's the belief of the atheist, that we only believe in that which we can touch and feel. No. We as Muslims, we believe in things that we can't touch, we can't feel. And things that are not testable, you could say. قَالَ صَدَقْتَ, and likewise, again, he repeated, you have told the truth. So somehow this guy is asking questions, but already knows the answer to these questions. But yet we don't know who this person is. Strange individual. قال فأخبرني عن الإحسان. So tell me about what ihsan is. What is ihsan? What's this word ihsan? قال أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم يكن تراه فإنه يراك. To believe in Allah, to worship Allah as though you see Allah. Even though you don't see Him, you know that He sees you. Again, an element of the unseen, but also highlighting a level of worship and servitude that we all aspire to achieve and attain. قال فأخبرني عن الساعة. Then he said, now tell me about the hour. When is the hour? Everyone wants to know when is the actual time. قال ما المسؤول عنها بأعلم من السائل. ما المسؤول عنها. The one who is asked. And this is ma here, this ma is nafiyah. This is a ma which means negation. So the al-mas'ul, the one who's asked, بأعلم من السائل, is not more knowledgeable than the one who is asking. So either both the one who's asking, nor the one who has been asked knows. And this is interesting because previously this individual said, Sadaqt, you told the truth. Sadaqt, you told the truth. But in this instance, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, actually, I don't know, but neither do you. Interesting. So this kind of indicates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not only does this person know about Islam, know about Iman, but also the Messenger of Allah knows who he is, because he knows what he doesn't know. Interesting. So I can imagine what the Sahaba were thinking. Who is this person? قال فأخبرني عن أماراتها. So tell me about its signs then. Tell me about the signs. أن تلد الأمة ربتها. That a slave girl will give birth to his mother. وأن ترى الحفاة العراة العالة يتطاولون في البنيان. So that a slave girl, an amma. So we will call her abd if it's a male, or if it's a female, we don't call her abda, we call her amma. So أن تلد الأمة, so the amma will talid, will give birth, ربتها, to her owner. وأن ترى الحفاة, and you see that the barefooted, poverty-stricken, destitute, رعاء الشاة, the one who herds sheep, will compete in building tall, lofty buildings. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about what do these signs mean. Some have interpreted that this is an example of a child becoming so disobedient that their parents almost become like their slave owner. Now, I don't think that necessarily agrees with the text, because it says "Antalid al-amatu rabbataha," so that amma, so it's a slave girl, will give birth to her owner. Whereas in al-Islam, a child can't own their parents. If my mother or my father was a slave, and I was to purchase them, then they will by that purchase become free automatically. So this isn't a case whereby it's not necessarily a description of actual waqi'i, where something which is real, whereby the child actually now physically or actually realistically owns their mother. But some ulama have described it as this in conjunction with the second part, which is the poverty-stricken sheep and person who's herd sheep, who's competing to build tall buildings, which is obviously a very expensive endeavor. So they're doing an expensive endeavor whilst also being poverty-stricken. So we have two examples. One person who is poverty-stricken, as in an amma or a sheep herder, but also owning the, what's it called? Also, we told that building tall buildings. So the ulama said this is an example of inqilab, a drastic change in the situation of the people, i.e. people going from extreme poverty to extreme riches. So some have given an example of like today, where we had just for example, the Middle East was previously a poor nation, which has now become one of the richest nations. But whether this is an example of what's happening now or what will happen in the future, Allah knows best. But what is understood and what is known is that a lot of these signs are not there for you to identify when they happen, but it's rather to give you a reminder of what to do when you see these signs. Sometimes people get distracted when they say, "Oh, look, I saw this happen. That's a sign. I saw it happen. That's a sign," and they think that the end is coming. But they get distracted by the fact that the whole point of these signs is to be a constant reminder for every generation that the time is coming and to prepare yourself for that moment. But these are some of the things that are mentioned in this hadith. ثم انطلق فلبثت مليا. Then he left, and I remained with the Messenger of Allah for a short while. ثم قال. Then he said after a while, يا عمر, أو عمر, أتدري من السائل? Do you know who the questioner was? قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. Allah and His Messenger knows best. And clearly the Messenger of Allah knows best in this case, and maybe this is what Umar was indicating, because he mentioned that the one who is questioned, there's no more knowledge than the one who's asked. So he actually knows that what he doesn't know. قال فإنه جبريل أتاكم يعلمكم دينكم. Verily it was angel Jibreel who came to teach your religion. So this is one of the methods of, number one, education, whereby you can teach someone something through question and answer. That's a very important method of teaching, questions and answer, because the question defines the paradigm or the scope of the answer. Rather than just speaking, you can define the scope of the answer or what you want to deliver through the question. But also, we learn here that Jibreel, or the angels, they are, technically speaking, shapeshifters, what we call in modern day terminologies, as they can come in various forms. And in this case here, the Jibreel angels come to mankind in the form of a man. They don't come in their natural form. And also we learn that this is essentially what we can describe as the religion of Islam. The religion of Islam is the Shahada of Allah is alone to be worshipped, and Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah, establishing the Salah, paying the Zakah, Hajj, fasting. We know what Iman is, we know what Ihsan is. And ulama mentioned that whenever Islam and Iman are mentioned together, you often find that Iman describes the internal feelings, or not internal feelings, the internal beliefs, and Islam is the actions. Because obviously the testimony, the Shahada, is also saying it on your tongue, so it's also an action. Whereas when Islam is mentioned on its own, it includes Iman. When Iman is mentioned on its own, it includes Islam. That's a little point to mention here. And this is a very important hadith that one should memorize and learn, because it encompasses all one needs to focus on as being a Muslim. And if anyone falls short in any of these things, then they're jeopardizing their al-Islam. If someone believes in the Shahada but doesn't believe in the Salah, or rejects the Zakah, then these are very important, or these very serious crimes, you could say, that puts someone's religion at risk of being nullified. Obviously with knowledge and opportunity to have the proof established to them, but These are what we call the pillars of one's Islam and Iman and their religion. جزاك الله خير for being with us. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.